Today we are going to discuss about the transformation which we have already learned in past, but currently we are going to discuss about two part of the transformation which is very important. One is narrow dependency, another is wide dependency. So we also call it narrow transformation and wide transformation. So let's start our discussion for today. Spark data frame API categories. Here we can divide this into two parts like transformation and action, which we have already learned in our previous videos. Now in transformation, our further classification is narrow transformation. What is narrow transformation? Narrow transformation is a type of transformation which happen but data do not shuffle between the partition. And wide transformation is kind of transformation when data will get shuffled between the partition. Now we'll see how it's happened. For that, I'll take example of a data set. So currently in my screen, you can see a data set. Here we have student data. There are almost 1,000 records available. For example, I have took this data set. So here in our data, we have different column like age, gender, name of the student, which course they have enrolled, their roll number, their marks, and their email ID. So now we will see first how partition works. Okay. So partition is basically, for an example, suppose we have a data of 1,000 records and now we want to divide this record into small chunks of data. Suppose we can divide this based on the number of records. We can divide this in 10 parts, 10 small chunks based on the count. Each chunk will have 100 records. Or else, if we want, we can divide this into 5 chunks or 5 partitions. Each partition will have 200 records. Now, the other way around is we can divide this not only based on the number, also based on the data. So we know categorical data. Suppose in our column course we have categorical data. I mean, what is categorical data? Suppose there is few data available but repeated. In the course we have 6 courses available: cloud, DB, DSA, MVC, OOP, and PF. Okay, so we can divide this data. Total 1,000 records is available. We can divide this data into small parts based on the courses. Like one chunk will be only for this data which is related to cloud course. Another chunk will be based on the data which is related to DB course, and another chunk will be the data based on DSA course. Likewise, so we can divide this data like that way. That also will get called partition. In this case, for example, I want to divide this data based on the course. That's mean we have 6 different courses available. So 6 chunk of data will get created. That will be partition. I mean, we can say that we have, or we will have 6 partition. So it is very important part of Spark and we need to know this very well. Now let's continue in our part, that is what is wide transformation and what is narrow transformation. Okay, now for before that, let's see if I divide this based on courses, how it will look like. So here I have prepared a example for you. To give you the example of partition, I have divided the data based on course. There can be many data available in each course, but for example, to show you, I have take 4 example for each. So suppose here I have cloud course available. This chunk represent one chunk. There can be more data available to this, maybe 100, 200. Let's see in the data how many data available to each course. So here you can see uh, cloud has 192 data, DB has 157 data, DSA has 176 data, likewise in others. Okay, so when I'll divide this into chunks, that's mean my first partition will have 196 92 data, Second partition will have 157 data. Third partition will have 176 data. Sixth 166 record will be in that partition. We can save this files or chunks of files separately with separate name. Maybe our name can depend on the course individually. One file which file represent the cloud, that file name will be cloud file. Another can be db file, another can be oop file, so like that. So this represent our partition with this much records. Okay, now let's see what is narrow transformation. So now we have this data. Okay, now suppose I want to filter out which records, I mean which student belong to course oop. Okay, for that we can do it easy way. So for that what we'll write df dot filter where course is course equals to oop, right? So now this way I can do the filter. Okay, now what will happen when I'll write the code and do df dot show, that time my code will go to only this partition where the course name is oop. This way you can see it don't have to check other partition. It is narrowing down the search. Okay, it is only searching in the relevant chunk of data, that is partition, relevant partition. Okay, and it can easily give me a count or give me the name of the student who has enrolled in the oop. I mean like this way. Like here we are doing filter, just easily I can do the filter and find out the names which belong to oop. I mean which student enrolled to oop, right? We can easily find out that. So this is the filter and this is the narrow transformation. So what is narrow transformation? So our data don't have to search in different partition and try to find out something, I mean create something new. Okay, so that's called narrow transformation. Now let's discuss white transformation. Okay, so now I'll give another example of white transformation. Let's see. Now I want to count the male and female in total data set. Okay, I need to know the count of male and count of female. So for that I'll write here df dot group by. Suppose here I am mentioning the column name like gender. Okay, here I need a count. Okay, this is my code. Now I'll do again the df dot show, because as we know, without action transformation will not get performed. That is called lazy evolution or lazy execution. You can check my previous videos to know what is lazy execution. Okay, so now suppose I have done this. Now what we have to do is here, let's check what will be the result set. Let's go here. I have done this for you. So we are seeing female count is 501 and male count is 499. Okay. So now how it's happened? Let's look into deeper how it's happened, how it find out from the partition. Let's go into the partition where we have example. Okay. Now let's see. First, it is going to this partition where we have data saved into different chunks or different partition. Okay. First, it will go to this file and check. Here it is find 4 female. Okay, 4 female. Okay, suppose it is now going to this partition where the course is pf. So here it is find one female, and 3 male. Okay, 3 male. Now it will come to this one and check oop. We have 3 male and 1 female. Okay, so again here we have 3 male and 1 female. Okay, now it is checking to MVC course. Here also it is finding 3 male one female. Okay, when it will check in DSA, it will find one male and three female. And here it will go to suppose DB course, and it is checking one female and three male, one female and three male. Okay, again guys, this is just an example. In actual data we have 1,000 records. Here I just took for each course four examples. Okay, so let's do the sum. Here we are getting 11 female, and we are getting around 13 male. Okay, so now how it's happened, you saw I have done it in front of you. I went to every partition, every chunk of data. Okay, and try to find out how many records for male and how many for females. Okay, so this is white transformation. It will go to every partitions and try to find out. It will shuffle the data between it will shuffle the data between partition and try to make this another data frame like this way. Okay, so we can name it gender DF. Okay, so it will find the data like this way. So it is going to each and every partition and find out data, and then it is creating another DF. And this DF also can be divided into two partitions, like for female one partition, for male another pair partition, right? So it is shuffling the data between the partition. Okay, why when we are doing the white transformation, I mean group by. So group by is a example of white transformation, and filter is an example of narrow transformation. I'll give you an example in the board itself, like how it's work. Let's see. So narrow transformation, this side we have narrow transformation, and this side we have white transformation. So see, in case of narrow transformation, data can go directly this partition to this partition, and again this to this, like that way. Okay, but when we are doing group by, this partition will some data will go to this side second partition, and this side second partition data sometimes go to this side. Okay, the data will shuffle, data is shuffling between the partition. Okay, in the narrow transformation, data is not shuffling between, I mean, uh, between this partition. It is a direct communication, and it is a sometimes it is direct, sometimes it is indirect. Okay, so data can get shuffle between the partitions. So that is the example of narrow transformation and white transformation. And I would like to mention here, while doing white transformation, it is a time taking process, and it can take a longer time than a narrow transformation or simple transformation, and it is a more costly process because we need to use more resources to do the task. So yeah, that's it for today.